today we have got the 3D system out. We are going to use it just to kind of help bring a little bit of awareness to a couple of areas of setup posture that might really help you all to improve your golf game. So the reason I'm picking these specific areas is because we talk a lot of time about the importance of being able to turn well on the golf swing, whether it's the way you hear people say, oh, I'm making a nice turn in the backswing, or you have to pivot nicely through the ball. There's certain aspects of positional aspects of where if someone sets up well, it really helps you to achieve turning well back, which puts you in a nice place to then move through the ball. So the things we're going to discuss today, and I'm going to share with you through presenting some of the data and the images on the 3D system, are just the way that a couple of aspects of the pelvis and the rib cage and how they sit at address in the golf swing. Now, for every person, there's going to be their own little idiosyncrasies, changes in the data on the 3D, because they're just their own unique person. They have their own bodies and everyone's different. So the couple of aspects I want to talk about is one, pelvis bend, how the pelvis sort of sits. So when I talk about pelvis bend, I'm talking about how it sits sort of orientated this way or positionally this way, whether the belt buckle is tilted down or whether it's tilted upwards. And I hope use the club there. I hope that gave a clear representation of what we're going to look at. But then also if I use the club again and to sort of reflect I'm going to put it on my sternum here to reflect but also rib cage bend, where the rib cage is pointed up and down. Now, what we've noticed through using 3D is that when someone sits or stands in a nice positional way, sort of through their spine, that then gives them optimal opportunity to move well in a rotational aspect in the golf swing. So let's first of all start with the pelvis. So if I use the club once again here, and on the 3D, you'll notice there's some numbers on the left side of the screen, one of them being sort of pelvis bend. And you'll see as I tilt the pelvis down, you'll see the number sort of increase in that range there. And as I tilt it up, you'll see it increase in the other range. If I go back to sort of neutral-ish, which is sort of where I've been calibrated, the calibration process is simply just the setup process for the 3D. It reads around 0. And you'll see obviously, because it goes to 1/100th of a degree, so you'll see the accuracy in which we're looking at this sort of stuff. So I'm at about 0 in standing, and rib cage, which is reflected on just for today, let's call it the thorax, which is sort of just a point sort of here on the back of the rib cage. So let's just kind of use that to sort of represent the rib cage in sort of its bend aspect. If I move the rib cage so it's more down, you'll see the number there change on the screen. If I move it more up, you'll see it change there again now. So what we're looking for when we're helping guys set up to good golf shots is a really nice relationship in those bends between the pelvis and the rib cage. And that is actually reflected on the 3D system as the PT bend. That's the pelvis, thorax, the relationship in those bends reflected on the 3D system. So I've actually, for myself here, in my setup, when I do a really nice job of setting up well, I'm going to try and do this for you now. I've set up a zone in the numbers here on the 3D system to kind of give me a green light when I've matched those bends nicely in my setup. And I might have Tyler here who's behind the system there kind of help me, but if I get in a good job there,
yeah, 20.
We got into 20 there for me. What does the pelvis read out there?
Pelvis is 18.
So for me, which is interesting because this goes back to individual feels, that to me is sort of like, that's okay 18. It's on the higher range number wise. If you did want to compare to other people, I would like to see it a little bit lower. But so pelvis was at 18, so obviously thorax was at 38.
Yeah, do one more, let's see.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and go a little bit more sort of this way with sort of belt buckle up in my setup to see if I can kind of get it I'll see how that feels.
Yeah, thorax 40, pelvis 15.
Pelvis at 15. And then I'm going to feel like my rib cage is a little bit more down, sort of, instead of here, I'm going to adjust it to here. How is that there now if we have a look?
You are, yeah, 18 pelvis, 38 thorax, 20.
So around 20 for me is, and I feel like I can hit it from there as well, which is always important. You know, it's nice, it's good. I think there's a range of uncomfortable, you know, in standing in a dress that is helpful, but then I feel like it's not helpful if you feel like you're struggling to move from there. So when you go out there, obviously you're not going to have the 3D system, but I think it's a great awareness to kind of have a look at it sort of for yourself. Just to kind of use, like when you get over the ball, if you kind of notice any kind of like this kind of position here, where sort of belt buckle would be down and rib cage is up, you can see sort of it's pointed out in front of me there. You can see my belt buckle pointed sort of very down. That's going to create a lot of sort of tightness through your spine because it's been sort of been it's got sort of acting, it's been pulled in both directions. And again, if you sort of too much in this way, if you feel like you're a little bit like belt buckle's almost too up and the rib cage is too down, that's not going to be helpful as well. And the interesting thing is that it's nice to just sort of build the awareness around those two bends, because over time you can start getting really, really precise on what's the best place for you to start your golf swing. So for me, I've kind of found right now the progression I'm making is if I can keep my pelvis at sort of 18 and my thorax sort of at say 38, which gives them a relationship of 20 degrees distance, that puts me in a position where I feel like I can make a really sort of nice move away. Am I in there?
Yeah.
So I'm there right now. Let's see how I feel from there.